Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Driving the Librarians. This is season 2, episode 2, and today we're going to be talking about it's Jamie McGuire's book, and the book is called Beautiful Oblivion. My name is Ericka, and I'm a young adult librarian.
Hi, and I'm Lauren. I'm a reference librarian, and this month's book was my pick, and it's probably one of the better picks I've had in a little bit of time. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I really liked it. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. It just was a nice, fluffy contemporary book. It's about a girl named Cammy who is the oldest out of her siblings, which are all boys. She didn't really have a good childhood growing up, and she's now a college student living off campus, I believe. And there's also the main character, named Trent Maddox, and trouble follows him and his brother wherever he go. And of course, they meet. Things sparks fly and all that stuff, but there's still some things that are trying to keep them apart. And this story just follows them along, especially with some really good side characters that I also enjoyed as well, and some nice fandom references that we'll talk about later on in the show.
Of all things, I totally want to start with the side characters because I mean they were great. Like there was not a bad side character. I mean there were side characters you hated, but there was not a badly written, poorly developed side character in this book.
I know they were all good, especially there were times when I really wanted to punch her best friend Reagan in the face because Ashley, with the main character too, they both had a lot of similarities going on, especially with their situations that they were in. But it's like they were just all one big family with the whole working in the bar and then at the tattoo shop. The side characters, they just fit the mold too. They didn't overshadow the main characters or anything like that, and that's what I liked about it because sometimes that can happen with side characters.
You either get the ones it seems like anymore you get the side characters that overshadow everybody, which on some levels okay because I mean if especially when the original characters suck, um or you get the ones that are just so badly written where you're like, I needed you to be better. I just needed more from little Ted in the corner that's clearly going to be your best friend by the end of the book.
Yeah, but these were really good. I really liked the characters in the tattoo shop. They were Hazel, Calvin, I believe,
And
Bishop.
Bishop,
That was that it.
yeah, there were. She was a new one in the shop, and there were Hazel and Calvin were the two that had been there for pretty much the entire story. And Calvin was like that really chill boss who let so much slide, and you're like, oh my god, I realize you work at a tattoo shop, and I would totally want to be like your girl space friend. But there's a point where like you're watching what he's doing and reading his lines, and you're like, okay, you own the shop. How about you be a little more of a boss rather than asking for 9/10 of the story where Bishop is? Why don't you call Bishop and tell him to show up to work?
Yeah, that was pretty much funny because Hazel was like, "You ask me this one more time, it's gonna be me and you."
I
But
love Hazel like so much.
I know, especially when on Sundays it was always slow, so she would want to. What she said she had to do to stab somebody because she did
She
that.
would stab somebody because it calmed her, and then she wanted to give Cammy the tattoos, and then she wanted to pierce Cammy's ears. And once they were pierced, she wanted to gauge them and keep getting them bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but that was all good. I really liked that. And then as far as like the story goes though, it was good. Like I said, I gave it 3 stars. It had for me, it's just really all the elements of a nice contemporary novel. I will say though, I felt like from the middle to the end, it dragged it a little bit for me. It had some parts where it was kind of doing like little fillers, and the author was just trying to prolong the story where I felt she didn't really need to prolong it. And then obviously we're waiting on the big twist to happen at the end of the book, which I felt really wasn't much of a twist. But if you can overlook all of that, that was really good. And then there's also some trigger warnings as well with domestic and with physical and emotional violence. So if that's something that you would not want to, read. That is in this book as well too.
Yeah, there's the abuse. I would also.
Your mic's muted.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, they're totally triggers. The abuse in general is definitely a trigger. I would also say the alcoholism in it.
Right.
Cammy's dad's an alcoholic. A good chunk of the book is set in the bar, which on one hand is fine when you're like me and Ericka, where it's not one of your triggers. Because I mean, she works in a bar, and half of her friends are, that's where they hang out. That's where they all work. But I mean, if you're, say, a recovering alcoholic, I could see that probably being a bit of an issue.
Right, and also the drug usage, because her younger brother, did he was using drugs as well. So there are quite a bit of trigger warners out there. So
But
just
I will say this: I have to give Cammy credit for her brother. Her the brother's an idiot. Let's be real honest. He's somebody that was a recovering drug addict. I think steroids was his issue, and he was recovering, and he was known to be in recovery. Not super far along, but far enough that everybody knew. And when he slid back into it, she worked multiple jobs to try to help him out. And I also have to give the uh, author this. Um, I think is a good representation of being an older sister, because I'm especially an older sister of a brother, because I love my brother. Every so often I talk crap about him. I probably shouldn't, but I mean, my talking crap about him isn't so much talking crap as much as venting frustration about my little brother. Um, but all that aside, there's there's very little I wouldn't do to look after him and take care of him.
right, because Reagan mentioned about enabling him, and she let him know like that's my brother. I'm going to take care of him. Regardless of the situation, I'm still going to be there. And the fact how she stood up to him when they went to their Sunday dinner, and the dad was all in his moods and stuff, and he was, starting arguments with them. And when he found out that she took up a second job, um, he took that as her being irresponsible. But when he found out the reason why she took up the second job, how she stood up for him in that situation too, because the dad was just all over the place. He was physically and emotionally, being abusive
And
toward
and
him.
the baby brother was his favorite in the family. Like everybody knew that was his favorite.
And so, yeah, it did, like I said, it did have moments where it got really serious at times. But like, Cammy told, I believe it was Cody, not Cody, one of the other brothers, but the family was falling apart, and she was like, um, "There's nothing but a thread hanging us on together." And he was like, "Well, let's keep it like that." It just shows you how family is all you have, and how you handle it is what
Yeah.
make or break it.
Well, and I will say this: the cool thing about that is you get kind of a wide dynamic of what is family. Cammy's family is dysfunctional, um, primarily due to the father. And I will say this: while they're dysfunctional, there is some level of closeness between Cammy and her brothers. And her brothers try to look out for her. I mean, like in like the first chapter of the book, they come see her at the bar and they see Trent hitting on her, and they get into a fight with Trent's family because essentially they're trying to protect Cammy,
All right,
which I think is awesome. But at the same time, they get home and they get under their dad's thumb, and everything falls kind of to pieces. But you get to Trent's family, and they've got like the tight knitness as well. but they get home and they do like the Sunday dinners, and they're actually like the normal kind of dysfunctional, and what and me basically meaning it's just a family that can function, but not necessarily like function normally.
Mhm.
So like you get all these people that just like they function in their unit, but then if you try to put that unit in society, it's just like, oh, we're gonna drink and get into a bar fight, and it'll be fine because that's what we do.
Yeah. Even so, even though they have like their biological family, they have their family outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
They have the bar family and they have the tattoo family because
Mm-hmm.
people mentioned it as well. Like when Cammy's brother came to beat up Trent.
Oh, Hazel took them on.
Yeah, and she was like, she's a part of our family now, and we take care of our family. So that's one of the really good things about this book.
Yeah.
Like,
By the way, I totally imagined Hazel being like our height. I'm 5'3". I know you're like 5 foot even. I
mhm.
imagine her being like us, like little and taking on like this 6 foot muscular guy going, listen, like in his face, like I know you and I can do with people. Like we grow like a foot and we're like, look, you
They
need
were
to calm down.
so, but yeah, that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I rated it highly. I agree with you that there were definitely moments of it being slow and dragging, especially in the middle. Like I thought the middle was bad. But like there were characters I just kind of adored in this book. Like I liked Cammy, I liked Trent, I liked how they worked together. It might not have been the best of relationships, but I liked how it worked. But I liked a lot of the side characters so much better. Like I loved Hazel. I liked the girl that they babysat. Oh, I am blanking on her name. Yeah, Chloe. And I loved her. And I loved her a little less when she was hanging out with the twins. And like it just was so adorable. And I loved how sassy she was for this little girl. And that kind of made like the slow moments better because it's like, oh, okay, it's a little slow, but what's Hazel gonna do now?
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna come out of Chloe's mouth?
No, the little girl name was Olive, I believe.
Olive, that's what it was.
I was saying Cody. He was the
Cody,
bouncer at the bar.
Cody was, Cody was interesting.
Yeah, I liked Cody. He was quiet, but he was quiet but brooding at the same time.
Yes, yes. I kind of feel like there were characters, like looking back at the book, there were characters, like I could see some of these characters being people I know. Like, I'm pretty sure Hazel's like you and me, like in how we are with things. Um, I could see your brother CJ being in this book too. I'm pretty sure he might be one of the Maddox brothers, but not Trent.
No, but yeah, I like that. Like, but that's the only thing that I could really think about that I dislike. Oh, another thing that I didn't really like, and I hate this. This is one of my pet peeves in a lot of stories. Is when the main character or any character has this secret that they hold on to for so long in the story, and they keep throwing out hints and all this other stuff, and I'm like, just go ahead and just tell the secret already. And that's how Cammy was with
TJ.
and everybody knew. Apparently, everybody knew the secret itself for Trent, which I think was kind of crazy because he didn't get that TJ was actually.
His
For
brother.
all you guys don't know, TJ is Cammy's ex boyfriend, but he didn't get it until the end of the story. She kept throwing out hints about TJ living in California, and I was like, if that was me, I'd be like, oh, I got a brother named TJ. Oh, my brother's in California, but he didn't get all of that until the ending, and I thought that was kind of thrown together a
Oh,
little.
I didn't get it either. I mean, and that I didn't. A part of that was one. TJ is kind of a common nickname for a lot of people, and for me, part of the reason I didn't get it, I think, outside of TJ being common, is Trent consistently referred to his brother as Thomas or Tommy.
No, that makes
Where
sense. Especially if they never
yeah,
gave him a nickname, then
yeah.
I
So
guess.
they consistently called him Thomas or Tommy, but she
But
calls him TJ. And then when she finally signed her cast, That's when I got it. She goes, yeah, he signed my cast as Thomas J. Maddox. I'm like, holy shit.
But TJ knew who Trenton was, though,
Yeah,
right? He
yeah,
knew, and at the same time, because Trenton had always loved Cammy, so TJ knew who he was with the whole time,
oh,
and
he totally did.
and so that's why he wasn't upset because she was like when she told him what happened, he just was like, okay.
Have fun hanging out with Trent.
Yeah, because a part of me, well, he knew how his brother is, and he knows his
Yeah,
brother, but he didn't expect it to last so long. And then when he flew her out to California to see him.
yeah,
That was kind of like she was serious about it, but he kept coming back. So
yeah.
yeah, he knew the whole time that.
No, there's a big part of me that wonders why Cammy was with TJ for so long. I mean, on a logical level, I get it. Like, he was the stable one. He was the grown up. He was, and essentially, he was doing what he's supposed to be doing. He had the grown up job, and he had a place that he owned or was about to own, and like he was effectively adulting. While she, after everything went down with her family, was still in college at the ripe old age of 24. And I'm not that I'm judging. I want to be clear on that. I'm not judging on being in college into your 20s or 30s or however long it takes you. It's, she had hit a point in her life where she knew, I think, in her gut that she should be adulting and doing other stuff outside of school, but life stuff messed up with her school path, and so it extended.
Right.
Where TJ, Thomas, whatever you want to call him, was the one that was out. He had moved out of town, which is something that she aspired to do. He had the grown up job. He was paying his rent and his bills and about to buy a place and like doing what you expect to be doing in your late 20s, early 30s, um, when you're out of school and working full time and, being the adult. And on that level, I get it. The level I don't understand why they were together was so long was so she's in school and she's working at the bar, so she had crazy hours, admittedly. And he was working at this job and had crazy hours and couldn't see her. And she specifically would do stuff to try to visit him, to try to go on vacations with him. Basically, she would to actually take the time despite having the crazy hours to try to make the relationship work and have the relationship, but he was not able to for whatever reason.
Yeah, and he was working this secret job, I guess. So
Yeah, and that sounds bizarre to me too.
yeah, I kind of like cheated a little bit, and I read his synopsis, and I found out. Well, I'm not gonna spoil anybody, so I won't say it. I'll tell you, Lauren, after the show. But
Okay,
I feel like his book is gonna be a lot
more
heavier
interesting.
than this one. It kind of reminds me of those little alpha male type books. That's how
Okay,
I think his book is gonna be. So it's not gonna be as light as this one.
okay.
Um,
And this book was kind of light and fun as well, especially for being a contemporary romance.
right, it was. And like I said, with the fandom, it mentions Spaceballs, which
Like so many times.
are Star Wars fanatics, and
Yeah, and I'm also a big Mel Brooks fan, so every time it got mentioned, I'm like, just watch the movie already.
the
Like,
movie.
I'm sitting there trying to make them watch the movie in this book because I just want to sit there and listen to them watching this movie. Like, that's how much I love Star Wars and Mel Brooks, is that I needed them to do this so I could have a friend in a book that also read the movie, watched the movie.
Yep, those were moments that really stuck out, and it was
Yeah.
fun. And someone, the dialogue, like when Trent was trying to talk to her, and she's like, "I have a boyfriend," and he was like, "That's just a speed bump." Just lines like that.
Okay, maybe maybe CJ, your brother, really is trying because I can see CJ say so. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
speed bumps, it's fine.
but yep, that. Without other than that, though, I like the story. Um, I did put the next one on hold, and I think this was the second part this was a second series within the same family, I believe, because there were some moments where I was kind of confused a little bit. So, because I think Beautiful Disaster is the first one.
Well, Beautiful Oblivion is the first book, according to Goodreads, in the Mad.
Uh-oh. I think she got out. Sorry guys, I have a little bit of technical difficulties here. Don't know what happened. Okay. But I think she was talking about the the order of the books. Wait, I think she's come back in. Yeah, she was talking about the order of the book, but like I said, I thought that this was maybe the second. There she is.
Okay, I am so sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I think my Wi-Fi had a hiccup for a second, but according to Goodreads, this book is the first in the Maddox Brothers series. But she does have a couple. She has one series called Beautiful, and it looks like the first one in that is A Beautiful Disaster, followed by um, a book called Wedding Disaster. So that's one series. And then there's the Maddox Brothers series, which we are working on. And this is actually, I think, one of the series that we've read where I'm actually like excited to read more of the books. So this one is a beautiful Oblivion, followed by Beautiful Sacrifice, Beautiful Burn, Something Beautiful, and A Beautiful Funeral. So the funny thing is, so in the Maddox Brothers series, they're all called Beautiful. And in the Beautiful series, they're all disasters,
Yeah.
which may or may not be ironic, however you want to look at it. But I mean, she's got a couple series that looks like Beautiful series, Maddox Brothers, the Providence trilogy, um, Red Hill series, and then she's got uh, I guess it's a series of novellas called the Happenstance series, and that's got it looks like three little short novels, novellas.
Yeah, I mean, with this series, I wouldn't. Sometimes you can read, especially like contemporary ones,
Yeah.
where it's like it has the maybe like a group of friends or brothers or whatnot. You can kind of read them out of order. The only thing that'll give away is probably who they end up with and a little bit of the
Yeah.
plot before it. But with these, I don't think you. I
I,
think you should read them in
yeah.
order.
I agree. I think this one is going to be one that you have to get in order because, especially if I mean, I'm glad we read the first one first, and that has to do more with the way it ended. Like they, throughout this book, Cammy was with both Trent and TJ. I don't think she did that on purpose. Trent kept pursuing her, but she actively was like, "I have a boyfriend. I'm seeing somebody," and so I mean, and I think that's why for so far in this podcast, in this video blog, whatever you want to call what we're doing, this buddy read. Now that I keep dating myself, that I think that's a big part of the reason why Ericka and I have not put Cammy on blast yet for dating two guys at the same time because she actively was trying not to, or I shouldn't say actively. She mentally and verbally was trying not to date two people. It just kind of happened to her,
Yeah, because
but
her relationship with TJ was about to end anyway.
yeah,
It just wasn't working out with the long distance. You
and
know,
the inability to be available.
yeah. So that was kind of dwindling down, and TJ knew that as well. But you know, he had that moment. Like I said, when she came out to California to see him,
Yeah,
that's when he realized that she was serious about it, and that's when he was still trying to, pursue her. And but
Yeah,
by then, she told him that feeling is gone, it's not there anymore. So
yeah. And I mean, I will say this, and I am glad that they attempted to be, um, well, for lack of a better phrase, they attempted to be adult about their breakup. It was they nobody threw anything. There wasn't screaming. There wasn't tears. I mean, I feel like there probably should have been some tears, just because it's this end of a relationship that she tried so hard at for. But at the same time, they kind of they hit a point where it was just, you're in a good place, I'm in a good place. We know it's not working. We wanted it to work. We put in the effort for it to work, or at least one of us did, and it didn't.
yeah. And then like Reagan did enough of the arguing and the flip flopping and all this stuff.
Oh
She
my
was the
god.
only character that I really wanted to throat punch, because
I
she
know.
obviously had one guy, Cody, the bouncer. He was in love
He
with
liked
her,
her.
and then she broke up with him, and then got with Jason Brazil, and then they weren't working out. But she kind of, when Brazil wasn't showing her affection, she wanted to go back to Cody. But then when she went
Yeah.
to Cody, and she was just this one big mess. And then when the whole thing blew up about Brazil comparing um Cammy to Reagan, then and that's when he said that TJ came to see her, and then that's when that whole thing blew up. She just felt like she was just this person in the middle, and she was just
Yeah.
so discombobulated and all over the place. She didn't really know what to do, because she was trying to save her first love, but at the same time she was hurting another love that she had.
Yeah.
So she was just kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah, and like I agree with you. I wanted to throat punch Cammy too, because it's just like, you've got this person here that's clearly a good guy who clearly loves you, and it's like they both Cammy and Reagan did the laundry list with Cody of all of his good qualities and why she shouldn't hurt him and why she should stay with him. But then she goes off with Brazil. And I refer to him as Brazil because they kept calling him Brazil in the book. And I'm like, stop calling him by his last name. I don't even think that's a real last name. It's a country. And so she goes back with Brazil, and there's one point where she goes, I needed to do this because last time we broke up, he dumped me before the party. And I need to go to the party. And she goes, I'm trying to recapture my first love and see if it could work. It's something I've always needed to know.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, on some little level, I get that nagging question, because a lot of people have that one nagging question in their life of, if I did blah, would it have happened differently? If I was still with this person, would my life be different? I get the nagging question, but at the same token, like I said, they had their laundry lists of all of Cody's good qualities and why he was great and why they should stay with him, or she should stay with him, because they're not polygamist. And they had this laundry list of reasons not to go back to Jason Brazil, but she did. And basically drove herself nuts, drove Trent and Cammy nuts, and hurt Cody like nobody's business.
Yeah, that was pretty harsh on her part, and
Yeah.
I really want to throw punch her and knock some sense into her, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like her guilt tore her up pretty good. Her guilt was
Yeah.
her payback, because she felt really, really bad about it too.
You know what? I don't think I should take it back. I don't want to throat punch her. I want Hazel to do it. Like, I want Hazel just to go slap her, because that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, because Hazel mentioned it to Cammy about Trent, saying that because Cammy kept saying they're friends, and she was like, "You gonna believe that? Really? Like, you're the only person that believes that."
I love Hazel so much. Like, so much.
And I think like the thing that what kept, because like we said that it from the middle to the end it dragged a lot. I think what saved it though was, the character the characters in the story, and
Yeah.
the writing with it. But I really think because you fall in love with these characters and you really want to see how they end up at the end. I
Yeah.
really think there should have
And
been an
who
epilogue.
Cammy ends up with.
Right. I think there should have been maybe an epilogue because I feel like it was rushed a bit, but it did set up for TJ's story as well.
Yeah.
But
And that's why I'm glad we read the first one first, because you needed to see this evolution between Cammy and Trent, and you needed to see how she went from TJ to Trent. And I'm sure it's going to get referenced all the time in TJ's book.
yeah, like we said, it wasn't like she tried to, because she did try hard to kind of stay away from
Yeah.
it, but TJ kind of put it like kind of forced her hand a little bit because he really wasn't there. But then
Yeah.
he say, "Well, I knew that it was going to be like this, and it wasn't really fair to Cammy,
Yeah.
for TJ to keep doing it to her." So she kind of did know what was best for her. So
Yeah.
I don't categorize this as a love triangle because one person doesn't really love the other person as much as she loves TJ, but not as much she
Yeah.
loves Trent. And
Yeah. I
so
think there's love there. I think, especially by the end of the book, it's more of how you end up loving your guy friends, like as a girl.
mhm,
Like I have a couple guy friends that actually the guy friends that I'm probably the tightest with are a family of three brothers and their older sister. And the guys every so often will jokingly refer to me as their brovery. They're like, "You're family. Not only are you family, but you're a brovery, dude." And I'm like, "Thanks, guys. I can totally be that." Because I'll sit there and I'll joke with them and stuff. And every so often we'll be like, "Yep, and that's why I love you."
yeah,
And the love there is real, but it's not like we sit there and we're like, we should date, we should be in love, or it's they're my dudes.
yeah.
So
One of my best friends is a guy too, so yep, that's kind of like how their relationship will be from now on.
yeah, like TJ's gonna be Cammy's dude. Like,
Yep, but I think secretly he's gonna hope that it kind of
I,
goes sour.
yeah, he might be pining for her in his next book.
Yeah, but we'll see. Like I said, I did put that second one on hold because I do want to read that and find it out. So,
Yeah,
um, you said she had a lot more other books outside of this
yeah.
series.
Okay, so the Maddox Brothers series has, oh goodness, one, two, three, four. It has 5 books in it, and okay, good. I'm still here. I'm trying to like flip between a couple things, and things are being weird. And she's got the Beautiful series, which, according to her website, has 2 books. See, she has the Providence trilogy, which obviously has 3 because trilogy. And this pops up because it's going very slowly right now. She's got the Red Hill series. She's got and let me see how many books that one has in it. The Happenstance novella series has 3 short books. It looks like Red Hill series has 2 books, maybe 1 or 2 books, and then there's a book called Apollonia. Am I the only one that's thinking of Prince with that? Because didn't he have like a little sidekick for a while named Apollonia?
Yeah,
And Sweet Nothing, Endlessly Beautiful. She seems to like to use the word beautiful in her books.
yeah,
And her website also has a reading order. So I think, um, yeah, it looks like some of the. Oh, and it's for the different series. Okay, so she's got for the Providence trilogy, you read Providence, Requiem, Edom, and the Beautiful series has 3 books: Beautiful Disaster, Walking Disaster, and a Beautiful wedding with the Maddox brothers. It's supposed to be. Oh, and apparently you're supposed to read Walking Disaster before starting the Maddox Brothers series.
Okay.
Oops. But that's got Beautiful Oblivion, Beautiful Redemption, Beautiful Sacrifice, and Beautiful Burn.
Okay.
And
That
and
makes
there
sense.
are apparently a couple other Maddox Brother books. And those come after. And the reading order for those, after obviously you read the series, is Something Beautiful, which is a novella, and A Beautiful Funeral.
Okay. That makes sense. Like I said, in some parts you'll get a little bit confused with while reading as well. At least I did. I got a little
Yeah.
confused reading it. But so we all know read what we said beautiful walking disaster.
Walking Disaster comes first.
And
But
then
that's also part of her beautiful series. And I will actually put the reading order into the buddy read group.
yeah, that would be good. Because like I said, I really think that this needs to be read in order.
Yeah.
Because you would be a little bit it's a lot going on because something happens with Trent. Like the reason why he's there in Cammy's city, I don't even think it was mentioned in the book, is because he got into this trouble or something happened where he had to come home and live with his father. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where, and then I don't believe that they mentioned the secret between TJ and Cammy, or unless she knew that that was his brother. Was that the secret?
I think that was the secret was that well I
Or
think
or
TJ was also the weird thing is I think TJ was a multi-level secret. I think part of the secret was that he was Trent's brother, and that was the secret Cammy was keeping from Trent. But Cammy was also actively not bringing TJ back to town to visit her family. So I think the overarching secret in terms of the rest of the book is the fact that she's dating TJ at all. People know that she's dating somebody. People know that she's dating a guy named TJ. Nobody's met TJ though.
yeah, and it would be kind of
And
weird.
considering how in the beginning of the book she just badmouths the Maddox family, I mean, not necessarily badmouths them, but talks about how much she doesn't want to date a Maddox and how she remembers them being perpetually trouble when she was a kid.
Yeah, and she's dating one the whole time. So
Yeah,
maybe that it's just a ruse to kind of throw everybody off track and whatnot.
yeah,
And so everybody was picturing him as a bad guy, which he wasn't, and he was because he did have other priorities before her, you know.
yeah,
But it all worked out. It worked out good. It's a nice ending to the story, besides
yeah.
being rushed, but it's still a good ending to the story.
I will say this though, it's while it was rushed, I liked that it ended with her in the hospital. Not that she was in the hospital again, so I'm clear. It's I feel like having her be in the hospital made TJ come home. It let her introduce him to people, but also answering the questions everybody had about TJ. Who's TJ? How does he fit into everything? Why is he such a secret? Well, he's a secret because he's Trent's brother. He's a secret because he's a Maddox. And it finally let them officially end things because TJ could see that she's with Trent.
Yeah,
And that yes, they were together while she was just trying, and she was trying to break up with Trent to be with TJ because TJ was the adult and the responsible one, and the one that on paper you aim to be with. But TJ wasn't good for Cammy, and so you can see that Trent's good for Cammy.
yeah,
Like it's that point where they see who the good person for her is, and they can split like they're supposed to.
yeah. And it's funny you say that because, like, even though you said that you were happy that she's in the hospital for him to come, it shouldn't have gotten to that point where
Yeah,
he had this big of a secret, and then she gets put in the hospital, and he comes home to tell. And the way that it was set up, because she was in hysterical, she was driving, and she got into the accident over it
Wasn't it a drunk driver?
was, and we didn't mention that as well when we're talking about the trigger warnings. But
And that's another thing, because like if you're like me, where you've been through a massive car accident, I was fine with this personally, but I also realized that if you've been through an accident like this, that's going to be a trigger. And the drunk driving itself is going to also be a trigger.
right, but like I don't know. It's just I feel like I don't know. It's just like the way they set it up, in the climax of the story, how it was set up. You just would think that it was just this big gigantic thing. She was about to lose her life because she didn't want him to know that was his brother. I
Yeah.
feel like that's just kind of crazy, but
I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I agree with where you're coming from. On the flip side of that is, while none of that should have happened, while it's awful that she was in a hospital, and it's awful how she got into the hospital, and just within that one scene, there are probably 4 triggers. It was the necessary catalyst for something that had needed to happen.
yeah,
And in some ways, that was probably the realest thing in the book. Um, I mean, as sucky and as shitty as that sounds, like I've had friends where they were in relationships for years with somebody who was nice as could be, and and for like the first 4 years of the relationship, you're sitting there going, okay, they'll probably get married. And then for the next 4, you're like, why are you two still together? Like, they're a good person. I get that, but they are now officially your safety net. And nothing changes until somebody cheats or there's an accident and you see that Ted can't handle, a hospital scare with Tiffany, and she's clumsy as hell, so you know that they're gonna be in the hospital all the time, and she finally gets that Ted can't handle hospitals, so that's clearly not the person she should be with.
yeah. And then like another thing that we didn't mention was about the campus fire because she thought that Trent
He
the
died.
camp, yeah, and so that I guess was something that was in place for her to realize, okay, we got to hurry up and find a way to fix this. I can't keep this secret anymore. We need to do something about it because it's just from that point on to the end. That's when things started to kind of get more realistic and had to
Yeah.
put a stop to it. And then people died in the fire too. So those are
Yeah.
like trigger warnings. Is well, it's a lot of trigger warnings in this.
This entire book's a trigger, I'm not gonna lie.
So like I said, if you don't this is a spoiler show, so if you don't feel comfortable with that, that we are not asking
Yeah, and
you to.
and I will say this, part of what we do with this show is we discuss the book. We discuss book cover to cover, or at least cover to as far as we read, depending on how bad the book was. And I mean, that's what and that's in part for people who are interested in the book. They can kind of in there. I don't like books about cats. I'm cats in this book.
I think stopping and starting.
And in reading those books that we've never read, it's kind of a multi thing. In reading the books that we never read, it's like I said, it's kind of multi. It's trying to think of how to explain it. We're basically picking books that look interesting to us that have been on our TBRs, for anywhere from a couple months to the last 10 years. I mean, I don't think we're going that far back with it, but I mean, it's stuff that, has been on our reading list and it's been on our radar for at least a while. Like, it's not something we saw in the library last week and go, oh, that looks like a good book. At least one of us has had this on our radar, and neither of us have read it.
Yep.
And when we picked up Beautiful Oblivion, we just didn't realize how many triggers were in it.
Exactly.
And so, and we're lucky in that we're not people that were triggered by anything in this book. That these are not our trigger. What triggers we have, we're not here. And so we looked out on that one. And I promise, if we knew, you would have seen in the buddy read group, hey, be aware, alcoholism's in there, abuse is in that. And I know in our individual book clubs, especially mine, because mental health comes up in the book club that I run a lot, in part because I'm running a book club where we read nothing but gay stuff. And so mental health comes up a lot in that because mental health is something that comes up in the gay community a lot for a variety of reasons. And so we also have to sit there and like, beware. There might be triggers in this book that's called suicide notes, or in this book called Tiffany's Weekend at Bernie's. We have to, that's something we have to do before we read the book. And then when we come back and discuss it, if it's something that could have had triggers in it, I make sure I sit down and ask everybody how they're feeling after the book.
Right. There was um anger traits of.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the whole book was, and we just didn't realize it until, like I said, I'm always the last one to finish the book. I finished the book today around 5:30, so
Yeah.
I didn't realize it had that much in it. But the overall cat was like, mental health, because a lot of these characters were mentally abused and physically abused.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on from they were little up until now.
And the weird thing is it's not a book about mental health, and it's not a book that features mental health. But as you sit there and you read it, you start psychoanalyzing everybody a little bit, where you're like, okay, clearly Cammy's a victim of abuse in some way, shape, or form, because she's got an alcoholic dad that, at the very least, emotionally abused his entire family. You've got Trent, who's got some slight anger issues, and he's got, for the most part, has them in check. But every so often they sprout their little heads.
Yeah, because even when Trent and Cammy had got into it, she flinched because she
Yeah.
thought that he was going to hit her, and that messed with him as well. And
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that going on in the book.
But I will give them credit that while they are damaged people, and that seems to be the new normal, at least among our generation, is we're all kind of damaged a bit. They functioned in success. They functioned in society. I don't know why I got real stuttery there, but they functioned in society, and they function as a couple. They probably shouldn't function as a couple. That's probably the least realistic part of their relationship, because here is this abuse victim that's dating somebody with anger issues that essentially sounds like something that is a repetitive cycle.
And like you wouldn't condone.
Yeah. But
I think you froze.
has basically is coming out of that shell, because like he's working with her and he's consistently trying to say, I won't hurt you, I will not lay a finger on you, I won't yell at you. He's like trying to like convince her that he won't be this person. And on the one time in their entire relationship, he starts to behave the way he promises he won't, because he has legitimate anger issues that he's also working through. She flinches and he realizes what's going on, and it messes with him. And in a weird way, they're kind of good for each other, because I guess he needs to date the abuse victim in order to work through his mental crap, while she needs to date the guy with anger issues in order to work with her crap and actually not not repeat the cycle.
Yeah, and even addresses confidence and self-esteem issues. Reagan, the best friend, how she felt Like she needs to flip flop between each guy, and then how she felt less of herself because her guilt was basically killing her as well. So, but other than that, this really was, a. Can you hear me now? That Sprint guy. Okay, can you hear me? Don't know what's happened. Um, I have a lot of technical difficulties. I think Lauren just tapped out. But this was other than all those trigger warnings and everything, this really was a good book. Um, I would, I really wouldn't, I would recommend it if you don't feel um bad about reading the story. But it is good. If you want to continue on reading it, because I'm going to finish out this series as well. So if you want to continue reading it, you just let us know, and we can buddy read this one together as well. Probably won't do it on the show, but we can buddy read this one in the buddy read group. And when the Lauren to pop back in as well, because that's pretty much all I have for this story. If you guys in the comments want to comment about what you liked about the book or what did you dislike or anything like that, or if you have any comments about the trigger warnings, then um, say that in the chat room as well. But that's pretty much all that I had about the story. So see if anybody says anything. I guess I give Lauren a little bit more time to log in. If not, that's probably it. Um, because I don't have anything else for this. On book news, though, I am waiting on. I don't know if you guys read the Shadow Me series by Tahira Mafi. The fourth book, which is called Restore Me, that's coming out March 6th. So I'm excited to hear that one, to read that one, and get my hands on it too. I would have it
Yeah.
pre-ordered, so I'm ready for that.
And
But
I just want to apologize for all of my weirdness tonight with the internet because I've had Internet Explorer decide that it's not going to respond. I've had it shut down. I've had it decide to freeze for me on a couple seconds. I've had Ericka's sound go out on my end. And so I want to apologize for that.
it's all good. We all have these little difficulties with internet. It sometimes it never goes 100%. So, but I was just telling them that that's pretty much all that I had for
Yeah.
this. So, if you have anything you want to talk about, anything else that you want to talk about,
Um, I think with this book, not so much. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes with the rest of the series. And I do want to read the rest of the series. I know I said that after Throne of Glass, because I was one of the few that actually liked the first Throne of Glass book. I just thought it became a redundant story by the third novel in the series. So hopefully that doesn't happen to the Maddox brothers.
yeah, I don't think it will. I really think it's going to get a little bit heavier each book we go. I don't
Yeah,
think it's going to be as light as this one was.
probably not. Like, I
So,
don't think it could be as light as this one because with Olive being how she is, and with just some of the situations, and considering that what the other brothers have gone through, it'll be interesting.
yeah. So, but yeah, that's all I have. I was telling them about. I don't know. This is off the subject. But I was saying about the Tahara Mafi book series. Shatter Me book 4 is coming out, which I'm so
Okay.
excited about. And yeah, there's just other book news that I'm excited about. But other than that, that's all I have. Um, you guys keep us posted. If you do continue with the story, we can talk about it and chat about it in the Buddy Read group. You can always
Yep.
tag me in it. Lauren is more active on it than I am. She can see the comments much better, quicker than I will. I'll probably get to it a little bit late, but yeah, just let us know if you read it and if you like it or not.
Yeah, and I mean, if you haven't read the book and you're watching us for, just to see if it's something you would like and you decide to read it, let us know that too. Because, I mean, we would love to hear your comments on anything we've read.
Yep. Well, that's all we have. I hope you all have a good night, and
Thank you for spending the last hour with us.
yeah, we enjoyed you guys. Talk to you later. Oh, wait, we got to announce the next book first.
We don't have. I'm okay. Before we do that, I am so sorry about this. We've had already a weird week, and it's only Tuesday, so yeah. This show might be par for the course at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna let the next month's book is Ericka's pick, so I'm gonna let her announce it.
So the next one's book for March is Skype by Neil Schusterman. I I had it when it first came out, but I wanted to kind of I forgot because the second book just came out, and I pretty much forgot everything that happened in the book. So that's what we're going to read for next. We don't have a date yet. Probably it'll be the last Tuesday of next month. But I'm excited to read that because I really want to read the second one as well, and I believe it's a dystopian novel.
Which will be interesting. I don't think we've read many dystopians in this group.
So yeah, but yep, that's our book. But as soon as we find a date for it, we'll go ahead and post it in the buddy read it and let you guys know. And that is all we have for tonight. So, guys, I hope you all have a good night and thank you for joining us.
And happy reading, guys.
Bye.
Bye.